What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York here at Aftershock Festival 2022, and we are here with Ava Under Fire. Thank you for being here.
What's up? Yeah, man, this is really awesome. Like, this festival is like super hot without the weather, but also just like crazy hot today, man. What is it, like 90 degrees?
Yeah, it's definitely hotter than it is in New York.
Yeah,
it was like 50 before I left.
Right? Yeah, same. Yeah, we got on a plane from Detroit and we showed up here. We were like immediately layers were coming off. So
yeah, it's insane. But it's so awesome to have you here. Love, Drugs, and Misery is your latest album, and it's absolutely kick-ass. Was this intended to just be a continuation of what we heard on Anchors, or was this meant to be like a new beginning for Ava Under Fire in a way?
You know, I think we intended it to be a new beginning, but we ended up doing similar things. I think it's just who we are, like style-wise as artists. We like to pull from a lot of different things, and we've always been a very eclectic band, pulling influences from all over the place. I think on Anchors, it was one of those things where, like, audibly you could hear, like, the production value. It was, like, really, really different. You know, I feel like Love, Drugs, and Misery has, like, a more consistent production value, which I love, and it hits hard, which I'm also a fan of. But, like, the content is more of what's everywhere. You know, it's a very emotional roller coaster sort of thing, so...
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I know it's kind of like a cliche question. I know artists really hate this question. What does the record name mean? But, like, was Love, Drugs, and Misery intended to almost kind of be like a parody of, like, the idea of, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll or something
Absolutely.
like that? Is that kind of like the duality aspect of it in a way?
Yeah, well, there's two things. So that definitely was one. I feel like we're a product of that other generation, right? Drugs, sex, and rock and roll in the 80s. My parents' generation was very much that, you know, burnouts and stuff like that. And then now I feel like there's a fallout, you know, not if you don't get out of that lifestyle, there is repercussions that maybe we didn't think about while it was all drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Now we have Love, Drugs, and Misery, you know, so it's kind of like my generation's experience growing up as that was our heritage, you know, that this was given to us. But then also the themes on the album, thematically, as you hear, like, in all these different songs and lyrics, you'll hear themes of love, drugs, and misery. So,
did you think of this concept or this idea before music was already written, and that helped maybe dictate the direction of the sound, or did you have to hear the music before lyrics and this sort of meaning came into play?
Yeah, second option for sure. Like, you don't want to have, like, a construct when you first get started. I think maybe sometimes that can have its space, too, if people like a lot of, you know, Coheed stuff is all, like, you know, very thematic and very structured, and they have a concept when they do concept albums. But, you know, for ours, it was more so, like, let's get the body of work that we really love and then see what we find to identify this body of work. Mm-hmm. But I want to get the body of work first.
Yeah, fair enough. And nothing could be more heartbreaking than having, like, the best lyrics ever, and then they're, like, one syllable over every arrangement of every song, right?
yeah, you can't put the cart before the horse.
Oh, that's a good saying. I never had that before. When it came to this idea for Love, Drugs, and Misery, was this, are you trying to maybe, like, engage the listener into the meaning as much as the music, or do you think that this album could also be very open to interpretation?
I think as intentional as you want to be as an artist, people will always attribute it to whatever is true for them. You know, I think it's a really interpretable album. Like, songs like The Strong were very much emotional, inspired by my own search for, like, what I needed in that moment to encourage myself. But then also a lot of people had attributed it to their walk with mental health, their walk with, you know, a breakup, you know, and wanting to find themselves again because of that. So there's all kinds of different situations that we've heard of already. So I think a lot of people are just, you know, finding whatever meaning they needed in the songs, which is really beautiful.
And going from Anchors to Love, Drugs, and Misery, such a beautiful evolution, and really, like, I don't think evolution has been really demonstrated so forefront as it was on this.
Thank you.
Did this open up maybe, and I know I'm probably asking this very prematurely, but did this open up new doors for what Ava Under Fire plans to do in the future?
Yeah, I think there's always going to be, I don't know, you know, I think we're always looking to grow, you know, not really change or, like, figure out what direction we want to take it next, but grow, you know, just like a natural more evolution of, like, who we are as people, how we've came together as friends, what we've previously written about, and maybe what now speaks to us more, you know? So, like, the next thing is going to be an adventure of its own, I'm sure. But this record was, like, I think right now it's so hard for me to even imagine that, because it's taken us so long and through literally the world, like, shutting down to get this one out, that we're just, like, basking in the glory right now.
As you should be. And you know, you led me perfectly into the next question, because is what we're hearing on this album, is this is what we're hearing on the album, these songs, how they were originally structured, or through a span of time did they change a lot?
No, you know what? And we tried. We tried to change it. We tried to go back to revisit some things and, like, see if we wanted it to, is this the best? You know, like, we were always questioning, because now we have time, you know, to revisit and go back over. There's no more, like, you know, we can't release it yet, so we may as well go through it with a fine-tooth comb. And what we, you know, anything that added just felt like too much, or it felt like it stuck out, or it felt like it didn't fit. And so I think really what we learned was, it was done when it was done, and it was perfect in and of itself. So it was just like, you know, don't beat it into something that it's not, you know? So, like, what you hear is actually what we originally turned in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah.
In order to get, like, that inspiration and that creative energy, do you almost have to, like, put yourself in a specific element in order to, like, cultivate ideas, or does the inspiration strike when you least expect it?
I think it's both. I think it was a weird thing for me to do that intentionally at first when we were, like, wanting to write this record, and we were in the studio and we were going to write with other people. It was like, how do I do this on command? You know, I, like, had to figure out what that was going to be like for me. But I found that when I sat with a certain thought for a while, or when I sat with a guitar riff for a while, then I could find inspiration just from that, like, get a vibe, you know? And then I follow it, you know? I don't know where it's going, but I guess we're doing this, you know?
Yeah.
But then there are other times where I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my phone? I need to, like, I have this thing that just popped in my head, so.
Yeah. Is it maybe easier to come up with ideas when you're in the company of your bandmates, or isolation being such a great feel for creativity, you prefer to be alone when it comes to either tracking the vocals or coming up with lyrics?
I think the answer is both again. Only because, like, my people in the band are who I grew up with and I've been playing with for years, and so, like, I have the ability to feel comfortable in that space with them present, and, like, we can just, you know, fall down the rabbit hole together. But then there's also sometimes where I am like alone in my room. There's nothing else happening, and I have an idea or a concept or a feeling that I want to get out. So either way for me.
And when it comes to playing live, this was my first time seeing Ava Under Fire, and definitely worth the wait. I sadly missed your last New York City performance. You know, there's 20 shows.
Hey, man, Aftershock is a great place for a first show, so thank you.
Definitely. You can say that again. Is there a similar energy that you channel into your live presence as you do in your songwriting, or do you consider them two completely separate entities?
I think they are separate entities for me. When we write, it's a lot more about what we feel, what we want to say, our experience, you know, very us-centered, I think. And then when we come out and we play live, I am so just enthralled, entranced by what the audience is doing, and the people that want to come and see us perform. I think we really try to make the live show about them, and we really try to, like, make it so that people feel engaged with our performance, but our music, and that we want to, like, I'm trying to thank you from the stage, each lyric, you know, and I don't know if that's, like, you know, some people, they see us and they're like, you talk too much to the crowd, and I'm like, do you know who they are? You should. These are the listeners. These are the people that are streaming us every day and, like, buying all our stuff and, like, want to show up, and they came here to participate in this. This Definitely. Is what we're doing, you know? So, like, the rock show especially is such, like, it's like such a temple for me almost, because rockers do concerts like no other genre in music does concerts, you know? And, like, I've been to several other different types of shows, but rock music is so special because everyone is so raw and real and wants to just be a part of things. They also want to be so engaged with the bands that are, like, screaming their hearts out and, like, singing their own stories, you know? I just think the rock show is such a special place. Like, it's got to be about the crowd when it comes to playing live.
Definitely. Do you almost have to, like, I know it's kind of a silly question, but do you almost feel like you have to, like, practice crowd interaction and stage presence as much as you, like, have to practice the material itself, or does that just come naturally as you perform more and more?
Some moments are orchestrated, like like we threw a little clip of "We Will Rock You" in the middle of Unstoppable. Like, we needed to practice that, you know. But other than that, you know, like when I'm telling people about, you know, what the song means, or that we wrote them a love song. I mean, that's stuff that we just kind of found along the way. You know, like I really want to give honor to the audience at this particular spot. Or like when we shout out other groups that we're on tour with and stuff like that. Those can come at different moments, you know, whenever it feels right, kind of deal. So.
And the final question I have for you is the most difficult one. Are you ready?
Oh, no.
Back to songwriting. How do you know when a song is done?
If you've got an awesome melody that can exist as the melody and one other instrument, like a guitar or a piano, you got it. Like,
wow, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, you got it. Like, I think that once you have all of the other things filled in is like a special moment. Obviously, there's a lot more to complete, but like if you can't get this melody out of your head, like you got something right.
All right, I will go with that. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Gave it better than anybody else at this festival, I must say.
It's hard. It's difficult because when you start, honestly, like when we find that we're like just too much fluff and there's like, I got to insert this here, or too much, you know, bass drops everywhere, or whatever. It's like, this is too complicated almost. Like, why is it so convoluted? What am I trying to make up for? You know what I mean? So that's kind of like how we've learned to gauge it sometimes. But some songs come more easily than others too. So it's always kind of a gamble. But when you really break it down, brass tacks, like that's what you got to look for.
Definitely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Such an awesome chat. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote for Ava Under Fire with the release of Love, Drugs, and Misery? I'd imagine we'll be seeing you on the road quite a bit, right?
Yes. So like message us, everybody, on socials to tell me where we need to come play at, because we want 2023 to be like massively busy. So I've got a cat sitter already lined up. We don't need to come home. So like we just want to go play everywhere. So tell me where we need to come play at. And you know, if you're around Michigan or willing to travel, on November 19th, we're throwing a massive CD release party at a really OG hometown festival, or a hometown venue that is called the Token Lounge.
Okay,
and we've been playing. Yeah, we've been playing there for years, and it's one of like the last venues standing that's really supporting like original rock music, unsigned original rock music. So we're really excited. We got a lot of friends that are going to be there. So come out, hang out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Everybody, Ava Under Fire, Love, Drugs, and Misery. Be sure to pick that up. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York Aftershock 2022.